Go ahead.
So the basic process of RTI response intervention is a three-tiered approach, and it reaches all these different students in specific ways. Tier 1, you're going to get your core curriculum, 80% of your students. Tier 2 is reserved for the 15% of your students who need additional support. And then Tier 3 is approximately that 5% that needs that intensive intervention to help avoid failure. Students often are referring to their relationship with their teachers as though they're dealing with more than just academics. So with that in mind, we think about that dynamic, and the main thing is kids would rather be referred to as a bad kid than being dumb or labeled as someone who doesn't know what they're talking about in terms of the curriculum or whatever they're dealing with in the classroom. So my question to you as a person who's hesitant about maybe the response to intervention is, we can also work with the behavioral aspects that you've been kind of concerned about in terms of fixing the behavior in order to get that intervention that's going to be beneficial for the student as well. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess my first concerns would be, number one, how do you identify the students? And number two, if you try out certain interventions and they don't work, then what's your next step?
Those are great questions. And in my situation, we're dealing with lots of challenges beyond just those basic concerns. Especially being in the physical education classroom and curriculum, we're dealing more in terms of the entire child, as opposed to just focusing on math or science or a certain area of their academics. So we're going to be working on a 6-week plan in the gym, focusing on their fitness in the areas of cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and flexibility. So we're reaching the entire student using these interventions that are mainly going to be a partner with the student who's going to be helping motivating and getting them to a level of fitness that we can be happy with as a program. And also, if they need intensive interventions or need some additional support, the teacher will then come in at that point to help them and modify some of the exercises that they need to be working.
So what you're saying is the program that you're going to be doing right now is a Tier 1 intervention, and then if you notice some kids aren't doing as well, then you're going to create some modifications, so that would be more of a Tier 2 approach?
Yeah, at this point we're at the kind of the early stages of RTI in the physical education classroom.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been something that we have dealt with at Emily City Schools before in physical education, because it's more of a reading approach. It's more of an approach that is taken in many of the academic aspects, however not always something done in an intervention-based way in the physical education environment. And at first I thought that maybe this wouldn't be something that we could do, but after looking into it and seeing the research that is shown, especially in the book Zander and Zander, there's just a lot of possibilities out there where the kids can kind of motivate one another and ignite the passion and reduce the fear that a lot of the kids can seem to have at this middle school age.
So would you say that this Zander and Zander book, would that be more targeted towards some behaviors that are being distributed or shown by some of those middle schoolers? Because a lot of the RTI approaches that I've seen are more geared towards academics and not necessarily towards a lot of the behavioral issues that we see a lot of times in schools here. So are you saying this approach is kind of geared towards some of those behavioral issues?
Absolutely, and I do feel as though we're going to reach the entire student not only just a small aspect of the student. We're gonna be reaching beyond what you would normally see in an environment of just one basic intervention, such as reading. So that's why I feel like this can work. And in my personal experience and my philosophy as a teacher, I feel like reaching all students is going to be my first goal, and then having the kids create the environment where we can motivate one another is kind of an icing on the cake, and that's what we're gonna work on. We're gonna try to continue working on.
And then try to get
The
some of
next
those
step.
more kids involved that are typically a little bit more resistant towards PE.
Correct.
Okay. Well, as long as I think that it addresses some of those behavioral issues, that would be really good for me. A lot of the times my main concern would be is that it's just really focusing on those academics, and that doesn't always fix the problem, because a lot of the times the problem is caused by, not only some issues with academics, but some stuff going on at home or some behavioral issues. So if your approach also, deals with those issues, I think that would be good.
Yes, and I thank you for your opinion on that, because I do feel as though that's what we're trying to reach is not only the academic, but much more than that, beyond that. And in a physical education environment, we can achieve those goals, I believe. Thank you.